Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out here for you. We're going to be talking about NATO in this video. We've got a crazy story that NATO is preparing what they're calling land corridors to rush U.S. troops to the front line to fight Russia. Now, this is absolutely huge, and this is how we know for sure that NATO is definitely planning to go to war against Russia here very soon. And these land corridors, basically, what this would do is make it very quick and easy to get troops to the front line to fight against Russia. Now, if you can see on the map, it doesn't show the complete thing. It doesn't quite fit there in the frame. I will show you the full picture here in just a little bit. We'll go over some information. But there would be essentially like 5 separate ports that troops would be dropped off at. And then they'd be transferred on like trains or vehicles and start heading over to the front line, which would be all these states that you see on the right side where all those blue men are at, all along the border of Ukraine, Belarus, and the Baltic states, and then also including Finland up in the north, which you can't quite see up there, but we'll show you on a map here in just a little bit. So this is absolutely crazy news, and this really does go to show that NATO is definitely preparing to go to war against Russia. Okay, so I want to go over this information with you. We've got an article here on the Telegraph. Okay, this is on Yahoo News, but originally from the Telegraph. It says NATO land corridors could rush U.S. troops to front line in event of European war. Okay, this actually came out yesterday. NATO is developing multiple land corridors to rush U.S. troops and armor to the front lines in the event of a major European ground war with Russia. American soldiers would land at one of 5 ports and be channeled along pre planned logistical routes to confront a possible attack by Moscow, officials told the Telegraph. It comes amid warnings from the alliance's top leaders that Western governments must prepare themselves for a conflict with Russia in the next 2 decades. Logistical routes have become a key priority since NATO leaders agreed to prepare 300,000 troops to be kept in the state of high readiness to defend the alliance at a summit in Vilnius, Lithuania last year. So something I was thinking about was one of the big things that NATO was doing during their Steadfast Defender 2024 exercise. A lot of the exercises that I saw them doing was crossing channels of water, like bodies of water, where they would set up these floating, kind of like a road, basically these deployable roads that they would use to transport equipment across rivers or ponds, whatever streams. And I saw them doing a lot of that. Okay, and I'm sure that a lot of that has to do with in preparation to get equipment from Western Europe over to the eastern side. There's going to be a lot of land that has to be covered to get everything over there, and they would have to rush equipment as soon as possible. Because imagine, the troops can probably get there pretty quickly, but they're going to need tanks. They're going to need vehicles to transport in, and it's going to be a lot of land to have to cover to get over to the eastern side of Europe. Where the Balkan states are at, or Baltic states. Poland. Moldova, over in that region, it was going to take them some time to get over there. So that's why they're trying to figure this out now. Existing plans have U.S. troops landing at Dutch ports before boarding trains that transport them through Germany and onwards to Poland. In the event of a Russian invasion of NATO, U.S. troops would be shipped to the port of Rotterdam before transported eastward. But arrangements are also being made behind the scenes to expand the routes to other ports to ensure the ground line of communications cannot be severed by Moscow's forces. Lieutenant General Alexander Solfrank, the chief of NATO's JSEC Logistics Command, told the Telegraph Ukraine suffers very much from these Russian long-range missile attacks on the logistics system. If NATO forces entering from Netherlands are hit by Russian bombardment or northern European ports destroyed, the alliance is set to shift focus to ports in Italy, Greece, and Turkey. From Italian ports, U.S. troops can be carried via land through Slovenia, Croatia to Hungary, which shares a border with Ukraine. Similar plans exist to transport forces from Turkish and Greek ports through Bulgaria and Romania to reach the alliance's eastern flank. Isn't that crazy, guys? Plans are also being drawn up to transport troops via ports in the Balkans, as well as through Norway, Sweden, I totally mixed Sweden and Finland. Sweden and Finland. In these corridors, national militaries will not be restricted by local regulation and will be free to transport consignments without normal restrictions. This is absolutely insane, guys. I mean, I know that this is definitely a possibility of war between NATO and Russia, but this just goes to show that definitely NATO is preparing to go to war, okay? They are preparing for a major conflict with Russia on the eastern side of Europe. And they say within the next 2 decades, like the next 20 years, but who knows, okay? If this war over here does not go well for Ukraine or Russia, it doesn't really matter who it fails for, whether it's Ukraine or Russia. There's a high possibility that we're going to see an engagement between NATO and Russia, which would be an absolutely insane fight to see. And I don't think anybody wants to be involved in that, and it would just be really nasty. But yeah, I mean, this is very crazy, and obviously, like I said, this shows that NATO is preparing for this, and they're looking at all their logistics and how they're going to transport equipment and troops and get them over to the front line quickly, because there's a lot of land to cover just to get over to the eastern side of Europe. Okay, it's a long travel, and it could take them weeks or maybe months to move everything. And if they want to respond quickly to some sort of conflict that breaks out, then they got to figure out the quickest and easiest route to get everybody over there. So finally, I want to show you this here. This is on X from Douglas McGregor. You may have heard of him. He's on YouTube a lot as well, and he's talking a lot about the war with Ukraine and Russia. He discusses it a lot. So it says here, breaking: NATO now planning to get U.S. troops to the front line to fight Russia. What are they thinking? NATO has disclosed its preparations to deploy American troops to the European front lines in the event of a full-scale conflict with Russia. Innovative land corridors are being established to expedite the movement of soldiers through Central Europe, bypassing local bureaucratic hurdles. This strategic setup enables NATO forces to swiftly react should Putin's aggressive actions in Ukraine extend westward. Reports suggest that these plans also encompass provisions for potential Russian attacks. In such scenarios, troops could mobilize through corridors in Italy, Greece, and Turkey to reach the Balkans, or alternatively advance towards Russia's northern border via Scandinavia. These details were shared by officials with The Telegraph, which is the article that we just went over on Yahoo News, but originally from The Telegraph. So let's take a look at this picture now and get a better look at this. So yeah, so we would have U.S. troops traveling through multiple ports. I guess they try to go through Netherlands here so they can quickly get over to the Balkan nations or the Baltic nations. This would be like Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia over here. Poland being right here. So this would be the front line for the most part. It'd be Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland. I think this would be Czechoslovakia here. And then I forget which country this is here, but this would be another country down here that would be a frontline contestant, okay? And then Finland up here too. So look at all these different land routes they'd be taking to get over here. And they were talking a lot about if this port over here got struck by Russia, the Netherlands, they'd start using these ports down here in Italy, Greece, Turkey, and move them from the south over here to to Czechoslovakia, Poland area to fight inside of Ukraine. So, like I said, they're preparing for this, okay? Even up here in Finland. Look at this. There's another land route going over here to Finland, which, of course, Finland would be a border state to Russia and on the front lines of this war. So, like I said, they're definitely preparing here. If they're thinking of how they're going to get equipment from the U.S. over here, the U.S. would be supplying a lot of the equipment, as you can see here, like artillery, okay? This helicopter transporting artillery over here. Yeah, they're preparing for something big here, and I think all of us know that at some point something big could be coming, and it's just it's very scary to think that that NATO is actively preparing this all the time, and we see this kind of news. I report things like this quite often, almost weekly, with news coming out from NATO that they're preparing in some sort of way to engage with Russia, and hopefully that never happens. But if it does happen, it looks like NATO has a solution to get troops over to the eastern side of Europe as quick as possible, and also their equipment. But let me know what you think down below. That's going to be it for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.